All right, welcome to our deep dive on absolutely crushing it on your dental exams. We've got your notes and this awesome guide here, Golden Tips for Dental Exam Success. And yeah, we're going to pull out the most effective strategies and tips to get you there.
Absolutely. And I think the key here is not just about passing, but also about understanding what you're learning.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
So this guide really hits hard on, having a structured study plan,
Yeah.
like as the foundation.
Yeah, it's like the bedrock.
It is the bedrock.
Right.
And I know, like in dental school, it is so easy to just let things pile up.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can get overwhelmed really fast.
So organization is key.
For sure. Yeah. And it's not just, kind of passively reading chapters. It's
Yeah.
about, breaking down the syllabus into these like manageable chunks and scheduling dedicated study time.
Yeah.
You think about it like training for a marathon.
Yeah.
Consistency is key.
Yeah, for sure. And there are so many great tools out there now that can help you stay organized.
Absolutely.
Things like Notion or Google Calendar.
Yeah. Google Calendar is fantastic.
Have you used Notion?
I have, yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty impressive. It can do a lot,
Really powerful.
for sure.
And then, speaking of training, this guy also, mentions this idea of active recall. And
Yeah.
it's almost like working out your memory.
Exactly. So you're not just passively rereading the textbook.
Yeah.
You're trying to actively recall the information. And the best way to do that is to create your own questions and quiz yourself.
Yeah.
Force your brain to retrieve that information.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I know that, one of the ways that I was able to do that successfully in dental school was using Anki,
Yeah, Anki is fantastic.
which is a flashcard app.
It leverages this principle called spaced repetition, which
Yeah.
is basically reviewing information right before you forget it.
Yes.
It's amazing.
And that helps to cement it in your long-term memory.
Yeah, Anki was a game changer for me, I have to say.
It's game changer for sure.
And then another, fantastic point the guy brings up is practice tests.
It's like, for an athlete, it's like having those scrimmage games.
Yeah, helps you get familiar with the exam format.
Right.
Identify your weaker areas and start to build your confidence.
So it's not just about knowing the material, it's about knowing how to apply it under pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, this is where I think it starts to get really, really interesting because now the guy dives into, how to really master the dental universe.
Yeah.
And talks about connecting theory and practice.
Yeah, and I think this is where a lot of students struggle.
Yeah.
They can memorize the facts, but they don't always understand how to apply them in a clinical setting.
It's about understanding the why behind the what.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you're studying a tooth extraction procedure.
Uh-huh.
Instead of just memorizing the steps, you can use a 3D anatomy app, like Complete Anatomy, to visualize the process.
Oh, those are amazing.
Yeah, so you can see, the spatial relationships, the anatomical structures involved.
It's like having X-ray vision.
Yeah, it really helps to make those connections between what you're learning in the textbook and what you're going to be doing in the clinic.
I love that.
Yeah.
And, the guide also talks about study groups
Yeah,
as being really helpful in reinforcing that learning.
yeah, absolutely. Because when you explain a concept to someone else, that helps to solidify your own understanding,
Yeah.
and it can also highlight areas where you might need to brush up.
You know what else I think is really valuable about study groups
What's that?
is that you have that support system,
Oh, for sure.
as you're going through dental school, which can be really challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to stay motivated and accountable.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to tech tools because the guide is like packed
Yeah.
with all these great recommendations for apps and websites.
It's amazing how technology has transformed the way we learn.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this rapid fire. I'll mention the app
Mhm.
and you give us the scoop on, how it can help
Okay.
dental students.
Okay.
So first up, Quizlet.
Oh, Quizlet is fantastic for making flashcards and organizing information, and you can even share decks with classmates.
Yeah, I used to love that.
Yeah, it's great for collaborative studying. So, for example, you and your study group are prepping for an anatomy exam.
Uh,
You can create a shared Quizlet deck with all the key terms and structures.
I love that. Okay, next we have Complete Anatomy by 3D4 Medical.
This one is a must-have for any visual learner. Imagine being able to rotate a 3D model of a tooth, zoom in on specific structures, and even dissect layers to see how everything fits together.
It's incredible.
It's a game changer for understanding complex anatomy.
I remember struggling with TMJ anatomy
Oh, yeah.
until I found Complete Anatomy.
It can make a big difference.
You did a huge difference for me.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Forest.
Now, this one is a bit different. Forest is all about helping you stay focused.
Ah.
You basically plant a virtual tree every time you start a study session, and if you stay focused and resist the urge to check your phone, the tree grows. But if you get distracted, your tree dies.
I love that.
It's a fun and motivating way to fight procrastination.
It's like gamifying productivity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, 2 more good notes and notability.
So these are both digital note-taking apps. Think of them as your digital notebooks on steroids. You can handwrite notes, annotate PDFs, record audio, and keep everything organized in one place.
Yeah.
So let's say you're attending a lecture on periodontology. You can take notes directly on the lecture slides, highlight key concepts, and even record the audio for later review.
Amazing. Last but not least, we have Dental Mastery and OSCE Dental.
So Dental Mastery offers tailored practice questions and explanations specific to dental exams.
Oh, nice.
And OSCE Dental is your go-to resource for clinical skills practice.
Yeah.
It provides step-by-step guides and videos for various procedures, helping you build confidence for this practical exam.
I love that. So as you can see, there is no shortage of amazing tech tools out there
It's amazing.
to really help you excel in your exams.
It's all about finding the ones that best fit your learning style and incorporating them into your study routine.
Yeah. All right. So now even with like the best strategies
Right.
and all these amazing tools, dental school can still be tough.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the common challenges that students face,
Yeah.
and how does this guide recommend tackling them?
Yeah. It's important to remember that everyone struggles at some point.
Yeah.
The key is to have strategies to overcome those challenges and stay on track.
Okay. So what if you were just feeling totally overwhelmed by like the sheer volume of information?
Yeah, this is a common one.
Yeah.
The guide recommends prioritizing high-yield topics.
Okay.
So these are the ones that are most likely to appear on exams.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, let's say you're studying for your head and neck anatomy exam.
Yeah.
You want to focus on the major nerves, blood vessels, muscles that are crucial for clinical practice.
It's almost like, when you're watching a crime show
Yeah.
and the detective is like, we have to focus on these, main clues.
Exactly.
Okay, what if you're feeling lost?
Yeah.
Like you don't even know where to start.
I think this is another common one. When you're faced with a mountain of material, it's crucial to create a roadmap.
Yeah.
So start by breaking down the syllabus into smaller chunks
Uh-huh.
and prioritize weaker subjects first.
Okay.
So for example, let's say you're struggling with dental materials.
Yeah.
You might want to tackle that first and break it down into manageable sections like impression materials, restorative materials, etc.
Yeah, I love that. And also, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Absolutely.
Like reach out to your professors, reach out to upperclassmen.
Yeah, they've been there.
Yeah,
They can offer some really valuable insights.
for sure. Okay, clinical skills.
Yeah.
I know that this can be a really tough one
Yeah, absolutely.
because it's like you're going from, textbook knowledge
Right.
to actually having to do things
It's a big jump.
in real life.
Yeah. The key is to start with the basics and gradually increase complexity.
Yeah.
Think about it like learning to play an instrument.
Yeah.
You wouldn't start with the concerto, right? You start with scales and simple melodies and gradually build up your skills and confidence.
Such a good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then of course distractions,
Oh,
right? I mean, come on, social media, Netflix,
it's everywhere.
life. It can be really hard to stay focused.
Yeah. The guide emphasizes the importance of creating a dedicated study space,
Yeah.
free from distractions.
Put your phone in another room.
Yeah, exactly. You want to minimize those temptations.
Yeah, so, even when those challenges come up, which they inevitably will,
Oh, yeah.
remember that you're not alone.
Yay.
And you have all these great strategies and resources to help you.
And it's all about approaching those hurdles with a positive mindset and seeking support when you need it.
Yes. All right, let's fast forward to exam day.
All right.
You ready for this?
Bring it on.
Okay, I love that energy. The guide has some excellent tips for tackling those exam day jitters
Yeah.
and performing your best.
Yeah.
So first and foremost, preparation is key.
Absolutely. The guide recommends getting everything ready the night before. Lay out your clothes, pack your bag with pens, pencils, highlighters, your ID, a water bottle, anything you think you might need.
So no last-minute scrambling.
No last-minute scrambling.
Yeah, I love that.
Think of it like prepping for a surgical procedure.
Yeah,
You want to have all your instruments ready and sterilized.
for sure. Arriving early,
Yeah,
that's key too.
absolutely. Gives you time to settle in, find your seat, calm your nerves before the exam starts.
Nobody wants to be that person rushing in,
Right.
all flustered,
Sweating.
stressed out.
Exactly.
Okay, and speaking of calming nerves, The guide recommends deep breathing techniques,
Oh, yeah,
like think Zen master.
exactly.
Like that.
Not panic mode.
Taking slow, deep breaths can help to regulate your heart rate, lower your blood pressure, and just
Mm.
ease that anxiety.
And you know what? It's amazing how much of a difference
Yeah.
just a few deep breaths can make.
It really can.
Okay, so now you're in the exam room. The clock is ticking.
All right.
What is the key to success?
Time management.
The guide emphasizes allocating your time wisely and sticking to a plan.
So don't just dive in.
Exactly.
Take a minute to look at everything.
Yeah, before you even start answering questions, take a moment to skim through the entire exam and get a sense of its scope.
I love that.
Yeah.
And don't get bogged down on one question
No.
for too long.
If you're stuck, move on and come back to it later if you have time.
Okay. And if you have time at the end,
Always double check your answer.
yes,
They-
because those little details,
They can make all the difference.
they can make all the difference. Okay. So those are some key tips
Yeah,
for conquering exam day.
absolutely.
But you know what? It's not just about acing the exams.
Right.
It's about absorbing the knowledge,
Yeah.
honing your skills,
Yeah.
and becoming a competent and competent
Absolutely.
dental professional.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
It is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So take a deep breath.
Yeah,
Trust in the process.
for sure.
Keep those long-term goals in sight.
Mhm.
Now, before we dive into part 2, I want to give our listener a moment to reflect on what we talked about so far.
Yeah.
What is resonating with you? What are you excited to implement?
What are you going to try? So, dental exams, they can really vary quite a bit, from written tests to clinical evaluations.
Oh, yeah.
So let's kind of dive into, how to tailor your approach for each type.
hmm Okay, so written exams, I'm thinking multiple choice essays, maybe some short answer questions. Seems like it's not just about, memorizing facts anymore.
Right. You need to be able to apply concepts, analyze scenarios, and even synthesize information from different sources. Like
Yeah.
the difference between, knowing the ingredients in a toothpaste formula
Uh-huh.
and actually being able to formulate one that meets specific patient needs.
I like that analogy.
Okay.
How do we shift our study strategies then to really master those higher level thinking skills?
Well, those active recall techniques that we discussed earlier, they become even more crucial. So instead of just, passively reviewing notes, challenge yourself to explain concepts in your own words, create diagrams, or even teach the material to someone else.
It's like you're turning yourself into a dental school professor.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of practice exams.
Oh, yeah.
They help you get comfortable with the format, identify your weak spots, and hone your time management skills, just like a mock trial before the real courtroom drama.
I love that. Okay, clinical exams now, these are all about putting, those skills into action.
Absolutely. This is where those countless hours in the sim lab really pay off.
Yeah.
So imagine you're performing a composite restoration.
Mm.
You've practiced the steps, but now you need to demonstrate proficiency, precision, and patient management skills in a real-world setting.
Yeah. I can imagine that, going from practicing on typodonts
Right.
to an actual patient
It's a big step.
can be a little intimidating.
Yeah, and that's where resources like OSC Dental can be incredibly helpful. Think of it as your virtual practice partner.
Sure.
So let's say you're prepping for a crown prep.
Okay.
The app allows you to virtually practice each step, sometimes even providing feedback on your hand movements and technique.
That's incredible. It's like having a coach right there with you
Exactly.
as you're doing it.
And beyond the technical skills, clinical exams also assess your communication, your professionalism, your ability to think on your feet.
Yeah.
So pay attention to how your instructors interact with patients, observe different approaches to treatment, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, it's like you're absorbing all this wisdom
Right.
from, experienced mentors in the field.
Exactly.
Speaking of observation, the guide also talks about the importance of self-care during exam season.
Oh, yeah, this is so important.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in all the pressure and, neglect our well-being.
Absolutely. You can't perform your best if you're running on fumes. It's like trying to drive a car with an empty tank.
That's a good analogy.
Make sure you're getting enough sleep, eating nutritious foods, staying hydrated, and taking breaks when you need them.
Yeah, it's so easy to fall into that trap of, the all-nighters and the junk food.
Yeah,
But, that can actually backfire
absolutely.
and really hinder your performance.
Yeah, it's crucial to prioritize your physical and mental health, not just for exams, but for your long-term success as a dental professional.
Yes. Okay, Let's talk about board exams, because I know that this is something
A
that,
big one.
yeah, it looms large
It's a big
for a
one.
lot of dental students. So these are like the high-stakes exams
Yeah.
that determine whether or not you can be licensed.
That's right. They're designed to assess your competency and readiness to enter the dental profession.
They can feel like a huge hurdle,
They can.
but the same principles apply. Right.
Absolutely. It's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about applying those solid study habits, those clinical skills, and those stress management techniques we've been talking about.
So it's about taking everything that we've learned so far
Yeah.
and just applying it to this, bigger challenge.
Exactly. The guide recommends starting your board exam prep early, ideally in your 3rd or 4th year of dental school.
Okay.
This gives you ample time to review the vast amount of material and identify any gaps in your knowledge.
Yes, it's like training for a marathon.
Right.
You don't want to wait until the week
You know,
before to
start
yeah.
running. Consistency is key. Set aside dedicated study time each day, break down the material into manageable chunks, and utilize those active recall techniques and spaced repetition with Anki.
And I'm sure there's like tons of resources out there
Oh, absolutely.
that are specifically designed to help students prep for their board exams.
Yeah, there are review courses, practice exams, question banks, study guides galore.
Uh-huh.
Think of it as having a whole support team cheering you on as you cross the finish line.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
What about those case-based scenarios?
Oh, yeah.
Because I know that those are often featured on board exams.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that those can be kind of tricky because you have to, take all this knowledge and apply it to like a real-world clinical situation.
They can be challenging, but they're also a fantastic way to test your critical thinking and problem-solving skills.
Okay.
So imagine you're presented with a patient case involving a complex dental issue.
Ah,
You need to analyze the symptoms, consider different treatment options, and justify your clinical decisions.
it's like you're a dental detective,
Exactly.
piecing together clues,
Right.
formulating a treatment plan.
And the best way to prepare for these types of questions is to practice, practice, practice.
Okay.
Work through case studies with your study group, discuss different approaches, and challenge each other to think critically.
So it's not just about, memorizing the steps. It's about really, developing that clinical reasoning
Yeah,
and decision-making ability.
exactly. And remember, board exams are just one step in your journey as a dental professional.
Yeah.
They're important, but they don't define your entire career.
It's about keeping things in perspective.
Absolutely. What matters most is that you've learned and grown throughout your dental school experience, and you're prepared to embark on this exciting career path.
Okay, so before we move on to the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
I want to give you a moment to reflect on what we've covered so far.
Yeah.
What are some key takeaways that you're finding, particularly helpful?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back for our final part here of this deep dive into, just doing awesome on your dental exams. And we've covered a lot of ground,
Yeah.
talking about study strategies and tech tools and, tackling all those challenges and even,
The big board exams.
those board exams. Yeah,
But I think you've really equipped our listener with a powerful toolkit,
I hope so.
to approach their exams with confidence and a strategic mindset.
And I hope we've emphasized that, success isn't just about, cramming or rote memorization. It's really about building that solid foundation of knowledge, mastering clinical skills, and cultivating, that resilient mindset. Yeah, it's like we've given our listener a roadmap to not just survive dental school,
Right.
but to thrive.
Really excel. Yeah.
Yeah. And, as we wrap up here, I wanted to circle back to something that I thought was really thought-provoking in this guide.
Okay.
And it's this idea of collaborative learning.
Yeah.
It focuses a lot on the individual study techniques,
Right.
which are super important. But, I think there's so much power in peer support
Absolutely.
and shared learning.
Yeah, I think back to my time in dental school, and some of my most valuable learning experiences came from studying with classmates and, bouncing ideas off each other and teaching each other concepts.
Like you have this built-in support system
Yeah,
and, this network of, amazing minds to tap into.
absolutely.
What if dental schools, really fostered more of these collaborative learning environments?
Yeah,
Things like study groups and peer mentorship programs and shared online resources. I think that'd be amazing.
yeah, I think it could really revolutionize the learning experience.
Yeah. And not only would it enhance, understanding and retention,
Yeah.
but I think it would also create this sense of community
Absolutely.
and shared purpose.
It's about shifting from a competitive mindset to a collaborative one,
Yes.
where students are supporting each other's success.
I love that. So as we leave our listener with this final thought,
Yeah.
I want to challenge you to think about, how can you cultivate more collaborative learning in your own dental school journey?
Reach out to your classmates, form study groups, share resources, and embrace the power of, that collective wisdom.
Remember, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
You have this amazing community around you of brilliant minds.
Absolutely.
So tap into that collective power
Yeah.
and watch your success just soar.
And with that, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Well, I hope this deep dive has empowered you with the knowledge and the strategies and the mindset to not just conquer those dental exams, but to really excel in your entire dental school journey. So until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep those smiles shining bright.